what you are meant to love about another person is a person's virtue, right? In other words, before you even have any feelings toward the other person, you've come to know the person quite well in this system, right? In fact, the way the system has morphed, you know more about the person before you even meet the person than the person knows about himself. I mean, it's a bizarre thing. But with all the investigations and all the questions and all the details, you know a lot about that person. You know, is this a person who is worthy, right, of my ultimate attention? Right? And you say, yeah, the person is a bright person and a kind person, a good person, and according to reports, even is attractive. So, yeah, you know, this is a person worth meeting. If you meet the person, then there's chemistry, then it's a wonderful thing. But you're not going to be blinded, right, by the fact that you've had so much time together and so many fun experiences and you've done so many wonderful things and then surprise, right? You're married, but you don't really know anything about the person. I mean, there are always surprises. You know, I have to, you know, it's like the joke they always say that, you know, the women are always surprised to discover that their husbands leave their socks on the floor, right? So I have to tell you something historically funny. This past weekend I was in Lakewood, New Jersey, for a nephew's wedding, and we traveled very heavy, big family, all the kids, everyone came to the wedding, and they put us up in a house. The family that lives in this house was going to another wedding in another city, so they lent us their house. It was really nice. We stayed in this house. So we're accustomed. We're travelers. So my wife says, when we're packing up to leave, right, you have to check under every bed. Because you never know, one of your belongings might have slid under a bed. So you have to check under every bed. So they checked under the bed I was sleeping in. There was a pair of socks under the bed. So they asked me, are these your socks? I said, no, they're not my socks. They're the owner of the house's socks. That's under the bed. Anyway. So it's true. Now, men do this. So women are surprised to discover that their husbands leave socks under the bed. But those types of surprises, you know, those you can live with. Yeah.
With respect to the shotgun process, etc., a lot of what happens is that the parents go through the 64 questions, and the parents impose their views onto the girl or the boy.
Yeah, that's
so. But that sort of negates what you're saying.
Yeah, that's a problem. I'm saying, as I said, the system is not perfect. There are flaws in the system. Things have developed in the system that have corrupted it. But this is the theoretical logic behind it. Now, so therefore, says Ishbitzer like this, that really is the meaning of the pasuk. Because if you marry your sister, that is chesed. Chesed is automatic love. Chesed means natural love. The natural love that comes simply by the fact that you were raised in the same home, the same family, etc. That's not a basis for marriage. Now, why is it not a basis for marriage? So we've talked about this in the most rational sense. In other words, the likelihood of a successful marriage. The Ishbitzer says something much more deeper. And I'm going to explain it. He doesn't explain it in great detail. I'm going to explain it. It's going to be a little bit of a long journey to explain this. We know that God has no body. God has no physical substance. And yet the Torah speaks of God's eyes, God's ears, God's hands. How do we understand that? So Chazal tell us that Dibra Torah Kolosh Miliyahu. The Torah speaks the language of human beings. In other words, we can't speak of the essence of God. The essence of God is beyond our grasp. So we use mishalim, we use illustrations. So we use hands and eyes and ears as an illustration of something which exists within God, which is somewhat beyond our comprehension. So at first glance it seems like this, that it's just convenience. We need to understand something about God, which you can't fully understand. So we use a muscle, we use eyes, human hands, human ears, as a reference to God. The great mystic Moshe Chaim Luzzatto puts it differently. He says like this: the purpose of life, the purpose of our existence, is to come to understand God. So why did God give us hands? And why did God give us ears? And why did He give us eyes? So that we would have mishalim with which to understand God. In other words, it isn't that we have eyes because we need eyes, and we have ears because we need ears, and we have hands because we need hands. And just it happens to be these are convenient illustrations of aspects of God. We were given these things because our purpose in life is to understand God. And there's a concept called the eyes of God, whatever that means. There's a concept called the ears of God. There's a concept called the hands of God. And these concepts would be inexplicable to a human being. So God gave us hands and eyes and ears so we can understand certain things about God. It's an amazing thing. Pardon? It's very deep insight. In other words, that the reality is not simply that these things are convenient, mishalim, to understand God. God gave us these things so we can understand certain things about God. Now, let's take it a step further. We have a book in the Bible called Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs. Anybody familiar with Shir HaShirim? Mm-hmm. Shir HaShirim is love poetry, romantic poetry, about the love of a man and a woman. Shir HaShirim is the one book you do not teach in high school, because the kids will snicker. It's too far removed from their experience. But it's a beautiful, graphic love poem between a man and a woman. Chazal tell us that this is a mashal, this is a illustration, a parable for the relationship of God and the Jewish people. So taking the insight of the Ramchal a step further, it's like this. It's not just that, we have men, we have women, they love each other, and this serves as a convenient mashal for our relationship with God. It's more than that. It's why is there the romantic relationship between men and women, in order that we can understand something about how we're meant to relate to God. Just as the Ramchal says, why do we have hands? Why do we have eyes? Why do we have ears? To understand something about God. Why do we have men and women who love each other? So that we'll come to understand something about God. The entire world was created to serve as a muscle for how we're meant to understand God. This is a part of it. This is a part of it. Now, the relationship of God and man changed over the course of history. There was an episode which occurred at a certain juncture in history which changed everything. Let me tell you a Gemara. There's a psalm that we say every Shabbos and Shacharis. Hodu Hashem ki tov ki l'yolam chazdo. Praise God because He is good, for His kindness endures forever. 26 verses which end with the words ki l'yolam chazdo. 26 verses. So the Talmud asks the question, why are there 26 verses in this psalm? 26 verses. Ki l'yolam chazdo. So the Gemara says that these 26 verses correspond to the 26 generations of man before the Torah was given. For those first 26 generations till the Torah was given, man was sustained by God's kindness. And once the Torah was given, no more free lunch, you have to earn it. You have to earn it. Now you have Torah, now you have mitzvahs, now you can earn your keep. But until then there was no Torah. So why was man fed? Why was he sustained? That was God's kindness. But once the 27th generation arrives and the Torah was given, if you construct the biblical chronology, you'll see the Torah was given after 26 generations. So now it has to be earned. So Rav Hutner, Zecher Tzadik Mavracha, used to often quote this Gemara, and he would say, don't misunderstand this Gemara. So you read the Gemara simply, you think that the first 26 generations God was kind, and then his kindness ran out. His kindness ran out. He says, no, it's a misunderstanding. There are two types of kindness. There's a kindness which is, I give you something for nothing, totally undeserved. Here it is. Take it. And there's another type of kindness where I give you the opportunity to earn that kindness. Now the mystics tell us that when you get something for nothing, it's very unsatisfying. The expression they use is nama de kisuf, the bread of shame. But there's something which is demeaning in getting something for nothing. If I give you the opportunity to earn it, then you feel you deserve it, it's coming to you, you've worked for it, you feel good about yourself, you've accomplished something. That's really a more intense chesed, more intense kindness. So Rav Hutner says, the first 26 generations, it was the type of chesed where here it is for nothing. You didn't do any mitzvahs, there's no Torah to learn, but I'm sustaining you, I'm supporting you. Anyway, here it is. It's a chesed of a certain level. When the Torah was given, it's a higher level of chesed. Now you have the opportunity to earn it. You can be self-sufficient, stand on your own 2 feet, you can feel accomplished, be proud of your achievements. It's an intensification of the chesed. That's what Hutner used to say.
Tough love, Rabbi.
Tough love. You call it that. So Rav Hutner says that the giving of the Torah totally changed everything. In other words, until the Torah was given, there was this idea that undeserved love. God showers the world with undeserved love. Because after the Torah was given, you have to earn it. So the Yeshiva says like this. Our marriages have to be a reflection of the way in which we are meant to relate to God. He doesn't explain why that is, but as we explain from the Ramchal, because our marriages, our relationships, are meant to be mishalim, for us to understand how we relate to God. So therefore, our marriages have to be a mashal, an illustration, for us to understand how we relate to God. In the beginning, in the first 26 generations before the Torah was given, how did God relate to man? It was undeserved love. Undeserved love. So what type of marriage corresponds to that type of relationship? The marriage of brother and sister. Where the love is unearned, is something which just is natural. And therefore, before the Torah was given, in the same way that God's love for us was unearned, the love of husbands and wives for each other could also be unearned. When the Torah was given, what did God say? New ground rules. Now everything is changing. Now you have to earn my love, and therefore the types of marriages that you have to have are marriages where you will earn each other's love. Because your marriage has to be a muscle for the relationship with God. And therefore he says like this. I'm going to come back to the Rashi. God says, from now on you can't marry your sister. So you can ask a question, wait a minute. Go all the way back to the beginning of creation. Cain married his sister. He says, yeah, that was chesed. Because when God created the world, that was the whole original scheme of the world. The original scheme of the world is that God created the world as a function of his love, which was totally unearned. So therefore marriages in that system also were built on a love that was unearned. But once the Torah was given, that system changes. Now you have to earn God's love, and therefore the marriage, which is a muscle, has to be the same thing. And you think about that, it's so true. A marriage does not run on an automatic pilot. If you don't work at it virtually every day, it can fall apart. It's a very, very fragile thing. You really have to be very, very, very determined to work at it. There was a Rebbe, Chassidish Rebbe, the Basher of Stolen. In the Basher of Stolen, there were young Hasidim who were very, very, very close to him, very attached to him, very devoted to him. And he once asked one of his Hasidim, says, tell me, these young Hasidim, do they love me or do they fear me? So the guy was caught off guard, didn't know what to say. So he said, they fear doing something that could, God forbid, undermine your love for them. So the Basher of Stalin said, that's the true fear. And the true fear we have to have even for God is that we should fear doing something that, God forbid, should undermine His love for us. And he pointed out, it's only a Gemara. The Gemara says an amazing thing. The Gemara says that Avraham Avinu is called God's lover. Avraham Ohavi. Avraham, my lover. The Gemara Sota says that Avraham's love of God rephrase that. It says that Avraham feared God. It says, Ata yadati ki yirei Elokim ata. God said, I know that you are a God-fearing person. Talmud says that Avraham's fear of God was rooted in his love of God. But it says in the pasuk, Avraham Ohavi, Avraham my lover. So what does it mean that his fear of God was rooted in the love of God? So the Maharal explains exactly this idea. That you love someone very much, and you want that person to love you back, you are scared of doing something, God forbid, that could ruin your love. Love is very fragile. So when your wife asks you to take out the garbage, you take out the garbage. Why? You don't want, God forbid, to do something that could possibly damage the relationship. That's the fear is rooted in love. So this is really the idea that the Ishbitzer says, that once upon a time, in the same way that God's relationship with man was undeserved love, unearned love, so our marriages can be the same way. That's chesed. After the Torah was given, so since our relationship with God has to change, our marriages also have to change, because our marriages have to be a reflection of that relationship with God. And therefore, our marriages have to be those marriages where the love of each for the other has been earned. When that love is earned, then marriage follows. We started off with a question, which is that these two sections which deal with incest, chapter 18 and chapter 20, 18 being the list of prohibitions, and 20 being the list of punishments, seem to be the frame which surrounds chapter 19, which is the mitzvah of Kedoshim to you, of being holy. So the question is, in what way did our ayahs frame the imperative of holiness? But if you think about it for a second, that's exactly what the Torah is telling us. The Torah says in the beginning of Parshas Kedoshim, that why is it exactly we should be holy? God says, Kedoshim tiyu, you should be holy, ki kadosh ani Hashem Elokeichem, because I am holy. What God is saying is that if we're going to have a relationship, we have to value the same things. I value holiness, you have to value holiness. Otherwise we have no relationship. And all the mitzvahs in chapter 19 revolve around the theme of holiness, because chapter 19 ends with the idea of holiness. And that's the idea. The idea is that God wants to have a relationship with us. He wants to be close to us. He wants us to be close to Him. He wants that we should earn His love. And that's the theme of that central chapter. And therefore, the section of incest which comes before and the section of incest which follows really are the pillars, or the frame, if you will, that surrounds this theme. Because as we said, the whole idea of the prohibition of incest really is an insistence on a certain type of marriage. That marriage be contracted between two people who have come to recognize each other's virtue and have earned each other's love. It should not be the chesed of marrying family, so to speak, the marriage of a brother and sister, but rather it's a marriage where you've actually earned each other's respect and love, and that, of course, is really the frame which surrounds chapter 19, which just takes it to a higher level, which is that likewise our relationship with God should be the same way. Kedoshim to you, Kadoshani. That if you want to have a relationship with God, you have to earn it. You have to work to become God-like and to earn His concern, to earn His devotion, to earn His affection. And therefore that parsha, that central parsha, chapter 19, is flanked by the mitzvahs of marriage, incest, before and after, because these are the observances which really are the muscle, they're the illustration that give us the understanding of what that central chapter is all about, becoming God-like and earning God's love by aspiring to be kadosh, to be holy, the same way that God is holy. To become God-like. Okay, these are some insights on an idea which is very, very, very difficult to speak about. I don't know if this will ever make it on the tape, but thank you for coming and listening.